This is funny.
Hi, this is Taxichronicles, and my name's and I'm your host Simon Rushton. Today we have a lovely lady in the car. She's looks much younger than she really is, and she's going to be starting a podcast about sex. So why do you want to do this podcast about sex? How many people are going to be doing it? And just tell us more.
So I want to do this podcast about sex because I think as like a fairly young woman in London, people are sexually active doing their thing, but there's still a little bit of a stigma around women being sexually liberated and talking about it openly. And I just actually want to have a conversation about sex between the sexes rather than just women talking to their girlfriends and groups of guys talking to each other. So there's going to be three of us, 2 girls and a guy. And we're just going to be having a really open and honest discussion about it, and probably talking about it in ways that you might not have heard before, or the way that you definitely talk to your friends when you think no one is listening.
It sounds very, very interesting. Have you got a name for it?
We do. We've just come up with a name, and we're starting recording this week, and it's called Makeitnasty.
Make it. So that actually defines what it's going to be about then.
A little bit, maybe.
A bit more than a little bit, but still. So you even made me miss my turn. Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm. So what's the first episode how are you gonna break down the episodes?
So we were thinking about starting it with obviously lockdown, post-lockdown sex, what it means having been single in lockdown, and who you're talking to, what's going to happen, have you got people lined up, what's the situation, how do you navigate it as a single person coming out of lockdown.
Just a suggestion, you could do methods to get around to have sex during lockdown. Because as a taxi driver, I took many a person.
I'm sure you did.
And a working girl.
Oh, really?
To many a rich person. Yeah, so even famous people during lockdown.
Oh, really?
Along with the drug dealers and the rest of the other people.
Oh, yeah. That's so interesting, because obviously Boris made it illegal at one point, didn't it? And I'm sure when he did that...
I wouldn't listen to Boris.
Yeah.
The man who's not married and, has mistresses and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, he made it illegal, but I think that probably just made people even more keen to do the opposite.
Yeah, I don't think you can tell anyone not to not to do such
especially those basic human needs.
They want you to stay indoors and no nookie.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck with that.
But that was a great short interview. Much appreciated. Guys, ladies, audience out there, I'm sure this is going to be a very interesting podcast. I don't normally promote other people's podcasts.
Oh, thank you.
But in this consideration, I have to, because it's original to my ears, even though there are certain competitors out there, but we won't go into that. Do not forget to share, and subscribe. Give us input on what you think of this podcast to come. Check her podcast out, and most of all, not forgetting the Africa Investing podcast stories. So I'm messing this up. This whole subject's room. The Africa Investor Stories podcast, and like I said, stay safe. Okay.